Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. And today I want to talk about encouragement. On the edge of encouragement is discouragement. Just like on the edge of ease is dis-ease. So recently I shared some personal stories with friends and family. And in some cases, I've received some things that are not quite what I would perceive as encouragement. So just to kind of give you an example, recently I shared some type of content with somebody in the form of a song. And the song had a personal story in it. And I shared another version where the song had some pictures that were appearing overhead on the poster that's directly overhead right now, as a matter of fact. So the content was basically shared in a couple of different formats. And the only format I haven't selected yet is to have the song be its own thing with maybe just some kind of an ambient background that doesn't even relate to anything that someone can just think about and make some kind of judgment with right off the bat. So just so you know that I'm not just rambling in a general direction, I've done a lot of hard work to get myself into the same shape as I was before, which is, it's kind of not the healthiest. And I've done that with a kind of a degree of humility. I keep receiving things that I cannot believe that I'm receiving. I don't feel like I am worthy of what I've received. And at the same time, I talk about it kind of with an exponential awareness or feeling. Like, for an example, the $100 I received recently that I said I wanted to do something with. That was a feeling. And just because I'm talking about a feeling, sometimes that can put people off. It's off-putting to some people. But in this particular case, I tried to take my feelings and turn them into a song so that people wouldn't have to listen to 2.5 to 3 minutes worth of words to have a foundational background to figure out what is this that we're trying to talk about. On the edge of encouragement is discouragement. And encouragement is different from discouragement in so many ways. I asked a number of people about a set of feelings that I've had, particularly since certain circumstances have occurred, mostly with toxic masculinity in the mix. And those events, when we try to talk about them, sometimes it's met with frustration. Why do you have to talk about the past? Why do you have to bring up the past? And today, happy birthday, by the way, to whoever's birthday it is out there. And today I was talking with someone who agreed. You know, we've definitely encountered people who say, why do you have to bring up the past? That's in the past. In a lot of cases, when people become afraid of talking about certain topics, that can be the most dangerous thing. And so as I put these feelings out there in the form of song and ask for just a little bit of insight, you know, into what it is that the viewer got out of it, the viewer in these cases being people who I know, who I love, you know, and who I personally know and love. It's so different to say love if we don't just kind of figure love is love, and friends and family is just another level because there's a familiarity. We see one another, we think we know one another. But in so many cases, we overlook a lot of things and we are more concerned with, why was that recorded in the garage? Why are you recording that in the garage? That's the question. That's the feedback to the request for information about what it is that I'm trying to share in terms of my feelings. I try to tell you how I feel, and your response to me is unreal. And in another instance, that I was finally able to play the song for someone that was able to listen to it. Someone said, "Hey, you're onto something. Go further, follow it through, do what's in your heart." That kind of encouragement is something that it seems many of us have lost along the way. And I can only begin to believe that it must be because of disease, mental illness. As I sit here in the garage, I can hear the birds outside. I don't know if you can hear them. I hear the wind. I hear the activities of the neighborhood, the dogs barking, and I can hear myself think for long enough to maintain composure and consistency, to follow things through. One thought process doesn't begin and end the other thought process. So, if I were to try and tell you how I feel, and if I were to perceive that your response to me was unreal, just because it's missing the point, don't feel like I'm saying something in a smart way that it takes a lot of thought process to understand. Don't blame me for the inability to further a conversation in a polite and meaningful way. Because until those resolutions occur, when we are able to rectify whether or not someone is actually aware of their actions and in control of themselves, we might have a problem. So I was told recently that without the right tools, we might not be able to reach one another, I guess, spiritually or mentally. I don't even know what to call it. We wouldn't be able to reach each other and fix things. We might exacerbate the problem if we're too close with one another. I believe that that's only true if one or more parties continues to become extremely agitated. And so it's extremely critical to recognize when someone gets agitated, especially if someone starts yelling. One time I was driving my vehicle, I should say 2 times. Truly, it's been many times, because we've all experienced these lack of gratitude situations. But in 2 particular cases, recently, I had grown adult passengers yelling at me while I was driving. In one case, the situation escalated even further, where that passenger began to physically assault me and punch me. In these instances, I had been called upon to help. And I was helping. And putting myself in harm's way at the same time. The funny thing about helping one another is that it takes a little bit of sticking our neck out there to do so. And the funnier thing about asking if someone can hear whether we are asking for help or not is that some people are more concerned with, well, why was this done in the garage? I can understand the concern. And to me, it's just surprising that that was a question ever at all, when all I was looking for was a bit of acknowledgement that someone could understand what I was saying. So thank you so much for the encouragement. I do not accept the discouragement, but I do take it with a grain of occasional salt. I don't know what the perception of the other person is. I can be in one mindset or another and feel interesting feelings about what I'm perceiving. But to me, my perception is that as we begin to become less and less personal and interpersonal with one another, divided as it were, we may want to pay attention to the devil in the details, The devil's in the details. And if we can't learn that we might have been addicted, then we can never potentially have hope for recovery. Sometimes the best tools in family and to overcome obstacles within the family are the family. Sometimes there are some real tools in the family, So that's kind of what the name of the song that I was playing yesterday was talking about. It was talking about a cool arrow flying pretty high overhead. And just maybe observing, But sometimes raining down as sheer destruction. In all cases, we have the ability to become just aware enough to where we understand whether it was in the garage or in front of the other more offensive mummy statue in the background that someone else would complain about, or out in the open desert where someone else might complain about that setting, or some other place where someone might complain about some other setting. It's still discouragement to hear those things. So I hope you accept this answer to your question as what it is.